In today's video we'll see phases of compiler. That's the last unit, chapter 7. We already discussed that what is compiler, how it works, and into that compiler is a very complex software because it is doing several tasks. So those tasks are divided as a phases. So totally in a compiler there are 7 phases, which we already discussed in the last unit. That is what a compiler, right? That is we already saw that there are 7 phases in a compiler. That is first the lexical phase. Lexically which check for the symbols, nothing but a basic token. It will identify the basic token and create the literal tables and the terminal table, symbol table. Next is the syntax phase, which checks for the syntax and perform some action, that is an action routine, and give you the interpretation of that action routine, what the action routine is. Next you have an intermediate code, that is nothing but machine independent optimizations. Next storage, and the last is code selection and assembly. So there are 7 phases. We already discussed this in the previous unit. So in today's we'll see the phases of the, that is we are learning individually all the phases. Clear? We'll individually what are the database, what is the algorithm followed in each phases. So that is what the next chapter, that is phases of the compiler. So in this all the 7 phases are discussed. Yeah, so we know that compiler is nothing but consists of the 7 phases, right? So compiler is consist of 7 phases. So in this chapter we discussed about the database and the algorithm of each different phases, how the algorithm and the database are created. Yeah. So in that first phase, lexical phase, it perform what? It identify the basic element. So it identify the basic element or the token. What are the basic element? Okay, it is an integer, it is a, then it is a it is a data type, it is a literal, it is a identifier, so like that, and build the uniform symbol table. So it will perform, it identify the basic elements and the tokens, it will build a literal table and identify table and uniform symbol table. So this is the task of a lexical. So upon this task it is using different database. So some of the database are, or lexical analyzer database are, first thing it requires the source program, so that it need to convert. Next is a terminal table. Terminal table in the sense it consists all the terminal symbols. So symbols, what kind of a symbol it is. If it is a operator, then what is the indicator? It's an operator. In operator, what is the precedency? If it is a type of a keyword, then what kind of an indicator? What it is indicating? It is indicating the keyword. Int means it is the type of a integer. What is its precedence? Precedence in the means what is its data capacity. The integer data capacity is nothing but minus 127 to plus 128. So that is the precision of the data type. So that is stored in the terminal table. So that is what the, whatever the indication, if you have a semicolon indicator, what is the indicator? It's the end of the line. So like that it is stored in the terminal table. So this was the column created for the terminal table. Clear? Next it used the database of literal table to store the literals. To store the literals, the table is literal, the base, scale, precision and other information. There are 2 types of literals. One is created by the user and the other is created by the system. For example, this is what fixed 31. So it here, this is a literals which is representing the attributes of a literal, of a variables whose precision or whose length is 31. Clear? So compiler or a lexical should analyze that this is what a precision literal, and whatever you are used in a program, that is what the program literal. So if it is a precision literal, then it should specify the precision value. Precision is nothing but the fixed area 31 is nothing but 32 bytes of a data it is storing. So here this is also literal, but this literal is talking about a length of a variable called binary, right? Whereas whatever the literals you use, that is used for execute your program. So that literals is different, this literal is different. So that thing should be analyzed by the compiler, and this is what the table created. So identifier table is nothing but it stores the identifier or the variable. So the format of a table is name, the attributes and the address. So variable definitely will have the address and the attributes. Data attributes is nothing but it's a type of a integer variable. It is a type of a character. So that's what the attributes and the address where it has been stored. So this is what the identifier table. Then uniform symbol table, it is also created in the lexical. That is nothing but it identifies these tokens. That is, it stores the overall information about all the table index values, right? It will have, if it have an identifier, then it will enter the value in the identifier table, and its index is stored in the uniform symbol table. So it has the index to the table so that you can link. So here you have a table and the index. You will have identifier, its index, so that if you have any identifier encounter, then it will go for that table and get the value. If you have a terminal, then it will go for the terminal table and get the terminal. So it's called as uniform symbol tables, which have all the information about the literals, type, identifiers and the terminals. So this is what the database used in a lexical. So algorithm of a lexical analyzer, and the algorithm, what it will do, it will check about the token. So it will pass about the token, it will identify the tokens, and it makes the entry in the particular table. Whenever it identifies the token, if token is identifier, then it will enter to the identifier table. If it is a literal, it will enter to the literal table. If it is a terminal, then it will enter to the terminal table. So this was the task of lexical, right? So these are the two tasks. How the algorithm works? Algorithm is nothing but it will check for the token. It will check for the token, and it will separate all the break characters, whatever the break /n, whatever you are using, those it will separate that, and it will put all this everything to the terminal table. Clear? It used three tables, that is the terminals, identifier and literal. So whenever there is a terminal, it will enter to the terminal table. Whenever there is a identifier, it will enter to the identifier table, and whenever there is a literals, then it will enter to the literal table. So this was the algorithm. Algorithm is English like statement. Make your sentence and you can go that it simply stores the literal to the literal table, identifier to the identifier table, and your the terminals to the terminal symbols, terminal table. Yeah. So next phase is syntax phase. Syntax phase means it will analyze the syntax. So there is syntax and semantics together. Syntax means it will just check for the rule. It doesn't have a meaning, but semantics means it check for the rule and it has an internal meaning, means it go for the interpretation. So the next phase, interface phase and syntax phase, is logically varied. We cannot separate it equally, but they are varying, some of them, in terms of a logically. Yeah? So syntax is nothing but syntax recognize the major construct, whatever the language you are having. So it will check the syntax of your, and it will match with the rules. Rules is nothing but we use BNF rule. So it will check with the rule. If it is matched, then it go for the next phase, that is with the interpretation. So in this phase, what it will do, it will check for the rules. So how it will check for the rules? Using a reduction. Reductions is nothing but the rules which specify that the syntax to be used in your source program. If it is matches, then it will call the action routines, else it will tell that syntax, there is an error in a syntax. So this is what the syntax phase, right? It will check for the reduction rules, and then it will call the action routine if matches. If it is doesn't matches, then it is called as a syntax error. So how it is implemented? So what are the data structure used? So definitely we use uniform symbol table, which is created in a lexical, because we used to have all the symbols that should be matched with the syntax, right? So all the symbols are stored in the uniform symbol table. So we need to have this table to check all the symbols. So we'll take all the symbols and we start matching with the syntax, nothing but the reduction rules. If it matches, then we call the action routines. If it is not, then it is a syntax error. So we want a uniform symbol table, which was created using a lexical analyzer, right? Next, to check this, we use the stack. So we know that last in first out is the procedure of a stack. So whatever we will enter, it will, the last entered will be in the bottom of a stack and the new entry will be in the top of the stack, right? Because it is a LIFO basis, right? So this is used for analyze the syntax, means match the stack top. If it match, then call the subroutines. For that reason we use this stack. Clear? So in this stack, how the arrangement will be here, whatever the most recently entry, that will be in the bottom of the stack, and what are the most recent entry will be the bottom of the recent entry will be in the top of the stack, and the most oldest entry will be in the bottom of the stack. Clear? So how it is worked? It is worked using a reduction rule. Reduction rule is nothing but old top of the stack, action routine, new top of the stack, next action, nothing but a next reduction rule. So what it will do, it will check for the top of the stack, whatever the label you will get, it will check with the top of the stack compared with the old top of the stack. If it is a blank, clear, and or a null, it is considered that there is a match. If it is not a blank, then it will check for the syntax, whether it is an identifier, whether it is a literals. So if it match, then it will call that literals and the identifier. If it is not literals and matches some other, like if for a symbolic representation procedure, if, then if it is match any of that, then it's a keyword, nothing but it is a token recognized, and the action routine for that is called. The action routine is whatever you are having, it is called. Yeah, it is called. That's what it will. If you have any other, then syntax is matched with the identifier and the literals, or if it is not identifier and literals, if it is a keyword, it will call the action routine whenever whatever the top of the stack is matched. The action routine should be called if old top of the stack is matched. Clear? So this is how it will do. Whenever the old top of the matched and action routine is called, then we need to adjust with the new top of the stack, means next oldest entry will be the new top of the stack, and again we will do the match. If match is found, then action routine is called, else it will give that it's an error, right? Nothing but how you are doing, you are deleting the old top of the stack and you are getting the new top of the stack. So this is stack is used just for the reduction purpose, nothing but to check that whether the token matched or the syntax is matched. If syntax is matched, then call the action routine. So this is how the symbols are stored, or the stack elements are stored. S1, S2, it's a stack's elements, means S1 is refers to the top of the stack, S2 is referred to the second element on the stack, Sn is represent to the last element of a stack, like this. So whenever the first element is matched with any of the reduction routine, the action routine is called reductions, and action routine is called, and particular task will be performed. So algorithm of this is, here reduction is tested every time with the top of the stack until it matched. So if it found the match, then it will call the action routines, and action routine is executed and return to modify with the new top of the stack, because it is matched and the action routine is the syntax, whatever the action routine it is calling, it has been executed. So now next top of the stack should be initialized. So that is what it modify the top of the stack with the new and repeat the step. So this is what the algorithm of a syntax. Syntax is nothing but checking the syntax. If there is an error, it is telling that syntax error. If not, it will check. If there is a match with the syntax, then calls the action routine to perform the task. So this is what the algorithm of a second phase, that is syntax phase. Next is the interpretation phase. So I already told that interpretation is nothing but it's an calling an action routine. Interpreting whenever the syntax, for example, if is a keyword you are calling. So what if need to be done? It should be check the condition whatever you have written inside the bracket. So it is what an interpretation, nothing but calling an action routine. Whenever if is encountered, it immediately call an action routine of condition to be checked. Right, so that is what the interpretation. So we can tell that we cannot differentiate the syntax phase and the interpretation physically, but they have difference with the logically. Clear? So that's what here the separation between syntax and the interpretation is logical, because they together work, syntax checking and interpreting. So these two together work. Clear? So it's not separate, but we are analyzing it in a different ways, because here it is checked, here it is interpreted. Clear? So while interpreting, it is giving me the intermediate form. So intermediate form means the middle form. Middle form is the best way of writing the middle form is, we already discussed arithmetic, non-arithmetic, non-executive, right? In arithmetic, we discussed two things. One is past tree and the matrix. So in that first one, best thing of representing the intermediate form is your matrix. So the database are, you need to have a symbols to check the syntax. You need to have a stack to call the action routines. You need to have an identifier table. Along with that, you need to have so identifier table. Along with that, you need to have a identifier table means you need to have all the detail about the how the table is. Identifier, now I'll get identifier table has been increased. There in the previous we just have the name, we had the address, right? But here we have elaborated the table. You can see that identifier table become large number of the attributes compared to the first phase. In the first phase we had the name, we had only the address, but now we have a name, base, scale, precision, storage class, means temporary storage. If you have, then temporary variables will be created. So for them we need to have the storage, what type of a storage, what type of a precision. We have temporary for the temporary variable, array boundary, structure, literal values, we need to have a block values, and so the length, the identified table increased with the n number of attributes. Next we need to have in this is a database, is a matrix. So in the matrix you know that how the matrix is stored, the operator and operator 1, operator 2. The operator, remember that minus start finish. So start minus finish. So this is how we are writing. The value will be stored in the line number 1. So that M1, whatever the value, start minus finish value, wherever it is storing, that line is a temporary. Then it should be stored in the identifier table. So identifier table will become huge. So this was the database in an intermediate, nothing but interpretation phase. In interpretation, we will have extra thing, that is the matrix. Whenever there is a matrix, then definitely we will have a temporary variables which stores the value of a middle expression. Start minus finish is not a full expression, middle expression. Then that need to be stored in the M1 is an identifier, M1 is a variable, the name, right? So it should stored in the identifier table. So identifier table become large. So database has been become large. Yeah. So this matrix will be stored in a matrix and a line number. Matrix and the line number. Next you have matrix line number is nothing but a temporary storage table. So temporary storage tables are nothing but helps to compute the matrix line result. So you need to, whenever you need to store the M1 result, M2 result, M1 is a middle or a temporary storage element, then it need to be stored in terms of data type, precision, source table. So these were the temporary storage table. This is also a database used in the matrix. Nothing but interpretation phase. So there is no individual algorithm in this phase. There is no algorithm. So you can see that there is no one single algorithm for this phase, because it depends on how many lines you have. That number of times the task should be repeated. If you have an expression, very small expression, then in 2 lines we can complete. If you have very large line, then there will be a number of lines in the matrix. Then for each line there should be different routines to be called. So there is individual algorithm for each task, clear, specific task. There is no one. So whenever the matches will respond, individual action routine is called to invoke the syntax analysis order, to invoke the action routines. Clear? So there is no one definite algorithm. So here it will check the stack and do matches. Whenever it matches, whatever the task it should perform, like entering it to the matrix, entering its database, so it will be performed. Whenever there is a matrix line number, matrix is encountered, it will be updated that what is the value. Along with that, it will update it in the temporary storage, and it will update in the identified table. So all the three will be updated whenever there is a column. So there is no individual, but there is a separate action routine for each column. Yeah. Next phase is optimization. We already discussed this, that optimization will be of two types, machine dependent and independent. Machine dependent, we discussed how we can reduce the utilization of a memory. In the previous, we have discussed that there are 80 bytes of memory utilization for a program. Later we have optimized so that the utilization reduced to 36 byte. I hope you remember that table. In the previous chapter, you have a table, that is what machine dependent optimization. If they ask machine dependent optimization, you have to write that same answer. So one question you can have for one time reading you can have for both the chapters. Whereas machine independent, this is also discussed. Machine independent is nothing but here, if in a matrix, if you have a duplicated, means redundancy. If you have a we already discussed in the previous things that if you have a redundancy, common expression, sub expression you have, if you have a common sub expression, whatever the sub expression you have, start minus finish, we have two times, then one time you eliminate, because we can use the line number M1 only in each recurrence whenever there is a start minus finish, right? So eliminating the sub expression, this is also one type of a machine independent optimization. Second thing is, we already discussed compile time computation. Nothing but instead of writing such a large expression which takes so many matrix expressions, which will be very complicated while running or while computing, so instead of that, this is all are constant, just divide and multiply with the b, so that you can reduce the line number with the 2 instead of the 4. So this is also machine independent optimizations. Yeah, next is using more or conditions. Check with 2 or more conditions, clubbing 2 or more conditions, right? Which is for example, if you have, this is discussed, if you have to check larger of 3 number, instead of checking individually, that is A is greater than B, then A is greater than C, then A is greater. Next, B is greater than A, B is greater than C, then B is greater. C is greater than A, C is greater than B, then C is greater. Individually going instead of individually, go with one expression using an or, that is, if A is greater than B or A is greater than C, then A is greater. Next, if B is greater than C, then B is greater, because we already checked with A is greater than B, right? Then C is greater. So you are reducing the length of the expression. Instead of having a length of huge expressions, we can go with the or condition, we can optimize the expressions. Next, removing the invariant computation. This is also discussed that whichever the variables is not changing within the loop, then don't put those variables inside the loop, put it outside the loop. So we have the steps that identify the invariant, discover whatever the invariant expression you have, then move that to the computation where you want, to that appropriate place you just move it. So this is what the optimization phase. So it is, one is dependent and one is independent. Dependent is, you can check from the previous chapter, you have the same thing. Dependent means it deals with the memory utilizations. Clear? Independent means it deals with your programming methodology. You can change your program, you can simplify your program in different way. Instead of having such a condition, you can club the condition and you can write, you can remove the invariant computations inside the loops, you can maximize the expressions by reducing its length. So this is all the optimization, that is independent optimizations. So next is the next phase is storage. So what is that? Storage assignment, how the storage should be done. The next is storage assignment. Storage assignment phase is nothing but assigning the storage. So assigning in this phase, the Purpose of this phase is to assign the storage to the variable, assign the temporary locations, that is metric lines, whatever the temporary solutions you want to store. For that also we want an temporary variable to store. Temp, you might have seen in any of the C programming, we use the temp, which we use to store the temporary variables that need to be initialized. So those temporary variables initialization, literals initialization or assignment, clear, and appropriate location initializations, all those ensuring this initialization is a task of the storage assignment. So here the database used are identify table. So you want identify table because you are initializing the variable. In that what is the data type of a variable, what is the precision, what is the length required for the data type, that is what the scale, the precisions, the storage class, whether it's a static, whether it's a automated. 4 different types of class we had, that is storage classes. Automatic, we had the based, nothing but during a runtime. We had a static and we have a control. So 4 types of what kind of control, in the sense it is depend on the block of a memory to be assigned. So what kind of a class it is and what is the memory assignment. So the entire table is required for the storage allocation. Next is temporary table. Temporary table is nothing but it is used to store the matrix line. So how many lines in, if you have that we discussed with the example that cost, right? So in that we have 8 lines. Those lines is not the final result. Final result is only in the line number 8, right? 1 to 7 is a temporary. So creating that, it is automatic. It is used during the execution, that is what creating an intermediate. After that, those lines are not required. We required only the result, right? So that are the temporary storage that should be. So the class of that will be automatic. So table, in that you don't have a storage class. You don't have a storage class. It is automatic. It is used during the process. After that, it is deleted. So those kind of assignment information from the table called temporary storage is the database of this space. Then next, literal tables. Literal table is required to store the literals, and matrix. Matrix table is required to ensure that how many operators are there, how many variables to be initialized. So the algorithm, how the algorithm will be. So here algorithm, to know to write about the algorithm, we need to know about what kind of registers we are using, whether it's a base register, whether we are using index register. If it is a base register, the next memory can be accessed by adding the offset to the base register, right? Just by adding the offset we can get the next location if it is a continuous block. So what kind of a storage you are using, depending on that we have the algorithm. Yeah, whether the storage is indirect addressing, you are using direct, what kind of a registers you are available, how many registers we are available, means how many storage we are having, so how we are initializing. So to depend on the to execute this phase, first thing we need to know about how the storage is. It will identify the what kind of a storage. After that it will scan each table. In the identify table it check all the variables, and it will, in the identify table, all the details of the variables will be there. So according to that it start initializing. So what are the algorithm, how it will execute? It will check for the identify table and check its boundary. Means boundary is nothing but data type, the limit, how much storage it is required, and where the value to be LC should be pointed. Means if it is an array, then A of 100 if you return, then it will be 100 location to be assigned, and pointing should be on the first array, that is A of 0. So second is, that is what I'm pointing to the LC location counter. Next is calculating the length, how much storage is needed, and updating the LC according to that length. So this is the 4 tasks which will done on the basis of identifier table. So you have 4 different tables, that is literal table, identifier table, temporary table, and you have matrix, right? So our identifier table, this is what the task perform, this is what the algorithm, right? So for the literal table, what it will do, the next one is sorry, not for the literal table, that is if in a identifier table, if the variable is of static type. So for class we have static, means the size is fixed, it won't changes. Then it will check on the size, and according to that it will update. Clear? So next is a variable. It will check initialize variable. So it will check the storage required. So store because variables vary in that size. So it will check about the storage required, and according to that it initialize. So here identifier table, whenever scan, automatic storage and control storage, whatever will have, it will allocate. Whereas automatic and control is used for the matrix, and static is depend on your user program. Clear? He want to fix the state, fix the variable data fixed, then we use the static variables, right? So in the literal table, how it will do, it will scan the literal and assign the literals, because literals are the constant, assign the constant value. Temporary, how the temporary tables are handled, temporary tables are stored, depend on the that is, those memory is reused for the again and again. Whenever the temporary elements are stored, after using that make deleted, because after that temporary variables are not used, right? So again that memory is utilized for the next temporary variable. So this is what the handling the temporary storage. Yeah, so it will create a proper amount of storage, and it will be automatic, always be, it will be automatic, because after that it will be the class type of a temporary will be automatic, so that after the procedure execution it will delete it. So this was the algorithm of the storage phase, storage assignment phase. Next phase is code generation. Code generation means generating the code. So how the codes are generated after the first method is nothing but the intermediate code. In that intermediate code, codes are generated in the form of matrix, right? So when you have a matrix, the code generation phase, what it will do, it produce the code, nothing but machine language. So it takes the intermediate, this phase use the previous phase. Previous phase means nothing but it is an intermediate phase. Intermediate phase output is matrix. It takes the matrix as the input, and it used the code productions. So I hope you remember in the previous chapters we have done that this will be the code. How the codes will be written? Codes will be written by, this was the matrix. Your programs will be created. Intermediate code is the matrix creations. The matrix will be created in this format. So this is what the matrix created. So using this, it will create the code. So how the codes are created? How if the matrix is created in this format? So this is what the format you have created a matrix, right? So matrix line number 1. These are the temporary variables. So this is what the expressions. So line number 1, it is performing star minus finish. So this is what this is the matrix, the whole matrix. In this is the matrix macro calls, which calls the code productions, which gives you the codes, right? So that's what we have in this chapter. We discussed that. So once the matrix are generated, we get this L comma 1. This you have discussed, that how the code production rules will help us to get the record. So I'll show that. So this is what, this is the code generation. How the code is generated? Whenever you have a call, this is the code production. Code production means if you have a minus, then 3 lines will be substituted. If you have a start, then 3 lines will be substituted. So this is what the macro call. So whenever you have a start, then in the place of minus you have, then in the place of start minus finish, 3 lines are substituted. Means L comma operand 1. Operand 1 is start. S 1 comma operand 2, and ST comma M, that is macro line number. So that's what we had in this. So you can see L1 operand 1, S1 operand 2, and ST 1 comma line number. So the result is storing back to the line number 1. So again, in the, if you have a multiplication, then these 3. So this is how the code producted, right? So we use matrix and code production table, and the code production tables to generate the code generations, right, in assembly program. So input is, what will be the input? Input will be the matrix, right? So it is the input is a matrix, and use the code productions to get the to generate the code, right? So database are, what are the database? We want a matrix, because using a matrix, in that operator we will call the code production table should get the code generations, right? And the identify table, literal tables we want, because we want to have the operand 1, operand 2. Then we have code productions, because it is a permanent database which specifies me the all the operators, matrix operators. So algorithm, how this algorithm will be, whenever the a matrix line is read, in that operation whatever that is treated as a macro call, and when the macro call match, that macro argument will be replaced. So whenever you have a plus, then all those three. So for example, if you have here there, if you have a code like this, a is equal to b plus c plus d, then a plus b, b plus c you will do, then with the result you will do the plus c, right? So this is how you are. The first line will be b plus c, this is the matrix 1, and what is the result you are getting? The value of b plus c will be stored in the matrix 1. Matrix 1 line will be added with the d. So this is what the code. So plus, instead of whenever there is a call for the plus, it will replace with the 3 variables. So 3 lines, not variables, sorry, 3 lines will be substituted. Whenever the plus, again 3 line will be substituted. Means L 1 comma operand 1. Operand 1 is b. A add 1 comma 1 is a register operand c. So we are added b plus c. Then the result will be in the register 1, storing back to the line number m1. Next, adding that result with the d. So loading again m1 to 1, and then adding with the d, and result is stored in the m2. So here you can see that these two statements are of waste. Loading back to m1, again from loading again back to 1. Here storing back to m1, here again loading back. These two are waste. We know with this in the register 1, then why we want directly we can add with the d. So you can see that we can directly add result of b plus c will be in 1, 1 will be added to c. So we are skipping 3 lines. Result, the whole result of b plus c plus d will be in the register 1. Again we don't want to store back into the line number. So these what optimization, instead of loading again and again and again with the registers, even though registers are fast, but these statements are dead statement we call, because it's not, if we are not using also it will run, then why we need to use. So those it's called as a optimization. Okay, so this is what the dependent optimization. So the what are the 3 code optimization procedures are? You can have, that's what they had given, same thing. This takes no need of using storing the result and again loading it. So those statement you can reduce. So the 3 ways is matrix. Whenever you form the matrix formation means, matrix optimization means, in the previous chapter we discussed start minus finish we have done in the line number matrix 1. Same result you can use for the another if you have some expression. That is called as a matrix optimization. During code generation, this is what in the last we have discussed. This is what the during code generation optimization. This is what leaving some of the unwanted things, then you are reducing, that is what the optimization. Clear? So this is one. This is called as during code generation optimization. Next, before that what we had? We had matrix optimization. Matrix optimization means this one. Matrix optimization is this one. So you can see that. This is what the actual So this is what the actual we had. So this is the matrix created for that whole expression. So start minus finish into rate, whatever we are doing. So this expression is same. So twice doing the same task, you can use the result of matrix line number 1. So we can remove that. It is called as matrix optimization. So we removed that. Yeah. Common subset expression, if you remove, then this type of optimizations we call it as matrix optimizations. Optimization means during the code generation. So this is what the code generated. Instead of 3 line, we reduced to 1 to 2 lines. That is what the while generating, reducing. Third one is during the pass after assembling code. During the assembling the code means giving a loader. If you use the absolute loaders, then again there is no need of having a new generation of all the addresses. Then this is called also the optimization. Clear? So this optimization is discussed. That is how we can optimize in terms of a code generation, that if we skip these lines instead of using, we can optimize. So same example we are using within a flowchart and algorithm. It has been explained. So flowchart, before going to the flowchart, we'll check with the algorithm. So this is what the algorithm given. So operand 1, operand 2 and m, these are the variables we are using. Operand 1 is the first operand, operand 2 is the second operand. So to add to thing. And m, it stands for the temporary locations of a matrix line number, some line number. Last m is, it points to the previous matrix line number. Because if you have a line number, previous line number, for example here, in this code you had So you can see that you have a matrix line number M1. In this line you have the previous line number. Yes, we have the previous line number. Previous line number of this is M1. So if it is done, then don't want to write these two statements because you are using the same variable. If you have different matrix line number in the line number of matrix 2, if you are using M3, then it is difficult to, you need to have this because you are loading a new variable. Right, so if you are using the same which is used in the previous, then no need to write these two statements because storing back and loading again, it is of a waste of time. So that is what the program telling. So for that, to check last matrix 9 number, we are using ampersand last, and R1 it indicates the present registers whatever we are using, and I is representing the current matrix line number. So what we are doing, this is what the algorithm written. So if last line, matrix line is equal to register number, whatever the registers you are having, then if last, you have a program over here. So this was the program. So whenever, so we have a global variable set to 1, global variable C set to with the 3, and these variables, these are the global variables. These global variables are set with set A. I is with the first line number, R1 is null, means we are not using any of this till now. M is the first line, and we are in a first line of a matrix. So here, this is a program. So if the last line and the your equation is equal to the register 1. So in this program we had, so this is what the program we had. So here, okay, this was the first line, M1. Still we are not using anything. So okay, fine, we need to execute what? Load 1 comma first operand, add 1 comma second operand. Next we need to check. So in the first line it is same. So we are, no, it's not equal. So we'll just execute L1 comma operand 1, L1 comma operand 2. Next it will jump to the P4. P4 is, it's a no condition, don't do anything, right? This is what discussed. Next, if it is not, it won't execute, it will come over here. If the operand 1 is equal to the last, so check with the operand 1 is equal to the last term. Which is the last term? Last term is the previous matrix line number. So the previous matrix line number is what? M1. Check if the operand for this line, if the operand is last line number, yes, then don't want to store it back in the line number and again storing back to the L. These two lines we can skip, right? So this condition is true. This condition is true. So what we can do, if this is, then jump to P2, directly add on, don't go for storing and loading. Those two statements are skipped. If not, you need to store it. Clear? Similarly, if second operand if you have with the same, then jump to the P4 and executes. Clear? Else you need to execute what? Store 1 into last number. If you are not using the previous line number in a next execution, then go for storing in the matrix. But if you are using the previous line number matrix as an operand, then skip that storing and loading operation so that we can reduce. Clear? So this is what the flow chart they had given. So the same thing, if it is checking if the last, the previous is in a register. If it is not, then because the first line we are not started with anything, register was the null, we will load P0. Yeah. Next, again we are checking if it is the previous, or we are using the next operand as a previous line number. Then if it is yes, then directly add. If it is not, then you need to again load the new matrix or the new operand. So this is what the flow chart of that algorithm. So this is what the algorithm. Clear? So the code generations is very complex compared to, because we need to avoid certain, because we need to optimize the unwanted instructions, right? So it is very complex and efficient coding will be done. So code generations can be handled instead of having the macro processes. Clear? So it gives me the powerful and flexible code pattern, and it will become very fast. So the code generation always depends on the next matrix line number. If it is not the next matrix line number, then you need to execute everything. If it is that, then you can no need to load in the register because it is already in the registers. Yeah, so this is what code generation optimization. If you want to code generation optimization, it always the responsibilities depend on the matrix line number. If it is using the same matrix in the next executions, then no need to store it back. That's what the code generation optimization. We are optimizing the code generation. So you can see here, this is what the executions we wanted to do. A, B plus C plus E into F. Clear, we had A into F. This is the execution. So first what you will do, B into C you will do, then with the result. So this is in the matrix line number 1. Clear, that will be added with the E. Then this will be in a line number 2. Then it's a multiplication. So these two first, then addition will be done. So this will be in a line number 1. This will be in a line number 2. Then line number 1 and line number 2 will be added. So line number 1 and line number 2 will be added, and the whole result will be in a line number 1. That will, because this is the first operator, will be stored in the line number 3, that will be stored in the A. So this is what the trick. So whenever there is a star, you will have 3 variables, 3 what we call the substitution by the code production matrix. Then you have again multiplication, again 3, then you have addition, then you have 2, and last one you have a store. So this was the original code. But better code is we are reducing this storing thing, because we know that registers are there already, and we the data will be there in the register, and we are using more number of registers. So you can see that B is loaded to 0 and 0 is used to multiplication. Value of the thing will be in a. Then we are using second to multiplication and third to store the E, to have the result of E into F, and 1 have the result of B into C. So last 1 and 3 is added, and we are using. So more number of register using can also reduce the can also give the code optimizations. Yeah. So the other way of code optimization is dead code elimination. If you have any dead code, means if you delete that code, it won't affect the program, then it is also a type of code optimization. Frequency reduction. Frequency reduction means moving one part of a program to the other part. Means if there is a invariant in the loop, simply executing that invariant. If it is not varying in the loop, then repeatedly if you are putting that variable inside the loop, then it will repeatedly execute. Then this is what, again, not a optimized method, because we are simply running a variable which is not varying. Then it need to put out. So that type of a code optimization is called frequency reduction. Strength reduction. Strength reduction is nothing but replacing the instructions which takes 4 bytes. Instead of that, we can go with the very fast instructions we have, that is MR we told. That is, instead of M, we can go with the MR or AR, which will execute. So add required 2. Here add registers, which will registers the 2 variable directly, 2 registers. So, and it required only 2 bytes compared to the A. It required 4 bytes. So using such type of instructions may also reduce the storage. So that is called strength reduction. So these are the different methodology of reducing the or optimizing the code. So these are 2 marks questions. The last phase is assembly, assembling the code. So if all the task is done by the assembly, then there is no much task in doing. Only thing is resolving the labels and format, putting the object disk one after the other, formatting it and giving appropriate information to the loader. But if code generation is not done most of the times, then everything will be depend on the assembly phase. Assembly phase should look after for the whole, means so that it should look after for the label references, resolving the label references, calculating the address, generating the binary instructions, generating the storage, and converting the literal. So all the tasks will be done by the assembler. If code generation phase does not have such detail, if it does not simplify the task, then everything depend on the assembly phases. If it has been done, then it has only giving the information to the loader, arranging the disk, and solving the label. Only 3 tasks it has in the assembler. So the database used in assembly phase is identify table to Identify table is used to get all the identifiers detail. Literal table is used to get all the literals information. Object code is required to have all the object code generation. And the algorithm is here, it use all the text card. It is using a text card, it will resolve all the labels. While resolving the labels, it may have external variables, external labels, then it will be loaded in the ESD. And RLD cards is used or created because it refers to the external variables. RLD, we discussed all these in the loader. ESD cards, RLD card have the information about what to be relocated and where to be linked. So external variables, so that from the external variables, whenever it check the external variable, it go for the ESD card, it check the detail about the VSD external and get the data. So all using this table, the assembler will resolve all the label references. Yeah, so these were the phases of our assembly. So we discussed all the 7 phases. So 7 phases. I'll come back to the error handling again. Before that, we'll go for the phases 1. In phase 1, that is what the lexical phase. Here what we'll do, we will create the identifier table, literal table and uniform symbol table. In second pass is nothing but syntax and interpretation. Syntax will check about the syntax of the variable. There are 2 types of running over here, semantic and syntax. That is, syntax will check for the syntax and semantic will check for the meaning. Nothing but an interpretation phase. It will check for, it will interpret it, whether it has a meaning. If it is not meaning, then again it tells us there is a logic error. So it uses the matrix, it uses the identifier table, it uses the symbol table, and it produced the matrix. So this was the intermediate till here. Phase 3 means till phase 4. Nothing but wherever you have a lexical phase, syntax and interpretation phase, clear, recognizing. After that you have intermediate phase. So till here it's a machine independent. After that we will start with the machine dependent, means optimization. Whenever you will go with the code generation optimization, from there it depends on the machine, because what type of registers you are using. After the storage phase, 5th phase, the complete is you have is a machine dependent. Till that it is machine independent. Yeah. So in the from pass 3 to pass n-3 means it depends on 7 phase. So it is an optimization phase. So there are different matrix calls depending on, there is no single one algorithm because it depends on the matrix. If you have a plus, then different kind of a code will be asked. If it is a minus, then different kind of a code will be called. If it is a multiplication, different kind of a code will be called using a code production rule. So there is no one single algorithm. There are a set of algorithm which works together with the pass from 3 to n-3. Then the last phase, that is what n-2 phase, that it is a storage phase, which is a, now from here it depends on the machine dependent, because we are storing depending on the registers which is used. So it use literal tables, it use identifier tables to store. And the last n-1 phase, it's a code generation phase, nothing but it again use the matrix of the second phase and it generate the code and optimization will be done. And the last phase is the assembly phase. So you can see that the optimization phase will call n number of passes and optimize it, and where are the others. From here it's an machine dependent, till here it is a machine independent. So this is what the how the passes will call. So there are 7 different passes, and depend on, there is no 7, we can count it as a 7, because if what kind of optimization you are calling, and depending on that the passes may increase. So this is the diagram of a pass. So next is the error handling. After compiling, the compiler should detect the errors and report the errors. It should detect and report the error. So what it will do in a lexical analyzer, that is the first phase, what it will do, it will provide if there is any misspell, if there is any error in a tokens, keywords, then nothing but basic elements, if there is any error in the spellings. Second phase is the syntax and the interpretation. It will check whether the structure is proper, whether there is any syntax error, that is on missing a parenthesis, semicolon, whatever you will have. It is a syntax, we call it as a syntax error. So that is called as that error will be produced by the phase 2. Phase 3, intermediate code. It will detect then operator and it will check about the operands, whether operand, if you are if you are adding and you are giving the operand as a character, then it is not compactable. It is an incompatible type. There is no type match with the data type. So those errors are interpreted in the intermediate code. Next, in a code optimization, it will check about the flow. Means if you have any invariant variables inside the loop, and if you are having some variables which may not reach at all, you are writing the variable outside the loop and you are calling that inside, or you are calling that variable outside the functions and you are calling. So those optimization means we are not reaching to that particular area. Yeah, then those are the dead code. That is what the optimization will check. These are the dead code not used. So that will be checked in this phase. Then while generating, it will check about the storage. What is the capacity of storage? How I can reduce that? So it's too large or to fit in a target machine. So that will be checked, and it will give the entire information in this line number, like bookkeeping. Bookkeeping means in this line number there is an error, this is an error. So complete error, line by line error it will represent. So this is what the error handling method of a compiler. So this is what is error handling, 2 marks question. With an example you need to write all the 6 points. So this is what the compiler. And last we have an introduction of a cross compiler. Cross compiler is nothing but it is used to generate the software. Means if you want to develop a compiler, then you use the cross compiler. What is cross compiler? Cross compiler is nothing but it may run on one machine and produce the output on another machine. This is a cross compiler. Yeah? One machine compiler will run, result will be substituted in other. It's just like a networking. Client server will execute and gives you the result. So apart from that, it is also used in generating the software. So how it will generate it? So for example, if you want to generate a new language L, clear, which need to be run on a machine AB. It's like several machine, consider 2 AB. Then how it is cross compiler will be developed. Cross compiler is first for a machine A, we are writing a compiler not for the whole language. We are writing for the half of the language. One language is developed, and compiler, how the compiler are developed. Clear? Compiler are developed for half of the language for a machine A. That's what the subset of a program. Clear? Then that is what for a machine A subset of program called S for of an L. Not for the whole language, for the half of the language we are writing a compiler, and we are converting that. Clear? Whenever we are converting, we will get the half language created. Understood? Next, using that half language, we are converting the other half in the same computer A. Now we are created a language for a A. Clear? So this is the explanation of that. What we'll do for the half subset of a L, we will write the program, we produce the code that is for the A, and that translates that subset and produce that assembly code in a itself. Now we have created half of the, out of a L, we have created half of the program, we had created a new compiled code. Using that compiled code, we are creating the rest half. Clear? This is running through the previous compile selected, whatever they created, half of the created. Using that, we are creating the other half. So we have created the code for the, A now. Right? When A is created, if the machine B is same, B is not different from the machine A, then how A is working, same thing B will be. Not, we don't have a more work, we have less work to convert for the B, because if B and A are same machine, then same task, how A is done, how we have generated, same thing we can use for the B. So this is how they plan for having the cross compilation. Clear? So cross compilations, it used to process, how it will do, first compiling for the for L to translate for a machine B is run through an A. Okay, for a machine B, whatever you want to run, that will be run through the A. Means A will be translator for a B machine. It will translate and it will give the code. Clear? And produce it for the B. And then for compiling that for the B, we use the cross compiler methodology to get the desired code for the B. Clear? Using a B code will be generated for the B, and for B it will this getting, how it is getting, you are getting from the A, right? So that is nothing but a process of cross compiling. So cross compiling, 5 marks question. have a root. You need to write what is cross compiling. So this is what the definition of a cross compiling. This one introduction. It is used in the generating the software. It is what is cross compiling. Clear? Then how we are doing. So these are the 2 points, and this was the cross compiler explanation. So you need to write all the points. That ends the compiler. That ends your SP system programming. Read the textbooks, and thank you.